How much solitude is just right for you? Most creatives that I know that are struggling, they're struggling because they're not embracing the solitude part. Brainstorming, I think, is the most overrated thing in creative circles. 29 Palms, California is the best place for creatives to live in all of California. Welcome back to Maker Ranch. This is the big project that's been consuming all of our time. We're in this final stretch of just a whole lot of sanding. Now we kind of cut the basic shape with the chainsaw, carved the contours with the angle grinder. Then we go to the belt sander, and that's we're just getting through that phase now. The belt sander is great because it just sands so aggressively. We got 36 grit sanding belts on there, but it's also got a kind of a flat surface, so you can't get the real tight contours, but it does help you kind of smooth and get you long, continuous lines. The challenge is we melted some of our belts. It creates a lot of friction, and these are really powerful sanders. So I've been switching back and forth because that steel plate under the belt gets really hot. And by switching back and forth, I'm able to keep the temperature down and get a little more life out of the belts. So still probably got like another 2 days of sanding. Now, one of the things that we did have to do that was kind of interesting, these big fir beams were not perfectly flat, so we had some gaps in the glue up. So what Jesse and I did is we cut a whole bunch of slivers, dipped them in glue, and then hammered them into the cracks. That gave us stronger kind of connections for those portions where the beams kind of diverged a little bit. And now we're going in with black wood putty. Now, one of the things that was giving me a lot of anxiety as well, when you hammer in all these slivers, man, you just get like kind of joints that have a combination of glue, some rough end grain, and I was worried that the stain wouldn't stick to the glue that was kind of exposed. And some of these glue gaps are like 1/8 of an inch. So we tested out the pre-stain from Rubio, and this goes on before you add the oil. And the oil itself has a color, but what's really important is that this pre-stain, we made this sample with lots of glue, lots of wood putty, and it just blacked out everything, but you still see the wood grain. So the Rubio pre-color easy stuff, man, works really, really well if you're trying to get wood that's perfectly black and you got some messy sort of glue ups. So one of the other things we've been doing is collecting brush. And this is for a experimental lighting installation that we're working on for the hotel. And so we don't quite have full round tumbleweeds on properties, but we have these, and we want to do kind of a natural material chandelier with them. So we've just been cutting it back and then hanging it in the garage to dry. So I laser cut this piece, and there's going to be additional pieces that kind of make it into the skeleton of a sphere. Now, my laser cutter is limited to 24 by 24 inches, and I want to get a lot of use out of each piece of steel, so I made pieces that are a little bit smaller for the other parts of the sphere that can kind of slot together, and then I'll weld them together. But what this is supposed to do is it's going to hold a light down here, a solar powered light. It's going to be mounted on a pole, and then all these tabs that face in will allow me to wire or zip ties all these branches. So if I have a structural steel skeleton structure of a sphere on the inside, light in the middle, I can then surround it with like this natural diffusing layer of naturally harvested, I don't know what kind of plants they are, but some sort of brush. So imagine a forest of like giant dandelions, 6 to 9 feet off of the ground that you could walk around, all of them kind of soft glowing at night. Should be pretty cool. So stay tuned. This is just the first prototype. A lot of work to do still. So the first question we have is a multi-parter and a long one. It's, how much solitude is just right for you? What are the benefits of working alone? And at what degree do you find it best to keep people in your life? Do you have a kitchen cabinet that you get advice from? Do you have a mentor? Do you plan and build in just hang time with friends and family? Well, this is pretty broad, but let's take the solitude part. For me and my mediums that I work in, Solitude is great. Most of them I can build by myself, and that means definitely I probably don't need a lot of people in the design or collaboration process. If I'm designing a house or a building or an architectural piece, there's absolutely collaboration because you need other people to cost it and price it. You need to get input from the engineers. There's input from the planning department and all the sort of regulatory officials. So those are inherently collaborative, but it still starts with you. And what I see so often when I was just talking to one of our building inspectors, he's like, man, the amount of people that come to me with questions, but they don't have a design yet. They don't have a floor plan. They just say, should I do this or this? Will this be easier to permit or this? And they want to brainstorm with these people whose time is important before they have anything on paper. And he's like, it's not effective. Just put it into the drawings, submit the drawings, and then I'll redline the things that work and the things that don't work. So I think in general, most creatives that I know that are struggling, they're struggling because they're not embracing the solitude part. They're trying to be collaborative, and trying to be collaborative too early is like trying to share your dreams before you've actually implemented any sort of meaning that you've derived from them into your life. No one cares. They may be polite, they don't care. What people care about is when you have an epiphany or an idea that then results in something that can be seen or felt. So in general, I say it's not about choosing solitude or choosing a social life. They're two separate things. When it comes to doing work, if you're an individual creator, maker, designer, embrace that. You're going to be doing it for a long time. And this leads into something else too, as I was recently asked about brainstorming. And brainstorming, I think, is the most overrated thing in creative circles. Oh, well, you should just have a brainstorming session. It's like as if like a quantity of ideas is going to progress a project farther. A storm is not a great way to water your crops. A storm is a lot of water all at once. What you want is the infrastructure to be prepared for a storm, to collect the water and then distribute it, because you may only get like that kind of chaotic deluge of water all at once. And if you're not prepared for it, who cares how much water you got that one day if you're not ready to store it? So when it comes to brainstorming, the value associated with it tends to assume that there aren't enough ideas. And if we just all got together and everyone just talked freely and it's this wild creative thing, all these ideas will emerge and those will solve our problems. But ideas still have to be implemented and utilizing resources to do it. So you can get a room of people all shouting out different ideas, but that's not an actual way to progress through a project. Plus, there's no shortage of interesting things on the internet. I can open up my phone and see a whole bunch of really creative projects that I could then adapt or take pieces or materials or ideas from and implement into my own work. The challenge is, I think, not brainstorming, it's sorting through what are the critical questions that are stopping me from moving forward on an idea. And let me give you an example with the tumbleweed chandelier that I showed you earlier. So one of my friends on Instagram does really incredible work. And I saw this kind of collected branch chandelier that he did. Gorgeous project. And I think, wow, I would really like to do something like that. But I don't have a space that big. I don't have a ceiling that high. I don't have a place to put it. So the question then becomes like, I don't need just move on another one of those ideas or another idea and move on to that. I need questioning at that point. Well, what do I like about it? Well, I like that he used reclaimed natural materials, low cost and beautiful. Also, it just feels cool to do that kind of thing. I love the shape. I love the way he photographed it. The thing that doesn't work for me is the surrounding context. So if I was to brainstorm, it should be around how do I change this where I keep the parts that I like, but I reapply them into a situation that I have. So my individual brainstorming session is being like, okay, I don't have high ceilings. What do I have? Well, I'm in a desert. I have wide open outdoor spaces. Okay, can I do this outside? Well, how do you hang it? I'd have to build a big structure and then you'd see the structure. What if I flip it upside down and the chandelier comes out of the ground? Similar process, by the way, with how I came up with the glass brick projects. The glass brick projects look very much like a chandelier, but they're coming from the ground up. So the critical question that was holding me back from first glance was just going through very simple, basic questions. What do I like about it? What do I dislike about it? Or what makes it not appropriate or not easy for me to implement? Once I kind of isolate those questions, then it's a very simple, it's not even a storm. It's just like a few drops of water to push things in the right direction and get a solution. So I tend to think brainstorming is people that want to talk about ideas but not really build things. It's people that want a pseudo-social kind of like hangout. I've seen this a lot with like in tech circles where it's like, let's do a hackathon. The hackathon is just people wanting to hang out and meet other people, which is great. Social's great. But they kind of pretend like it's going to be this productive thing where they have breakthroughs. But the productive part, in my experience at least, tends to just be the networking of people with similar professional interests. But the real hardcore work gets done when people sort of understand their collaborators over time, strategically pick the ones where the skills perfectly match, and then have a really clearly defined agenda that they want to do. So embrace the solitude part, embrace sort of sitting quietly with your sketchbook, and you don't need other people to give you ideas. There's too much chaos and information and stimulus. What you need is to have clarity of when you see something that appeals to you, to ask yourself more questions. What about this made me attracted to it? What about it makes it hard for me to implement? What substitutions could I make? How can I adapt it to make it both specific to my materials and tools and techniques and to my local environment? Much more focus on linear questioning than just adding more chaos to life that's already chaotic enough. Now, to the question of do I have a mentor? I mean, I guess so. Probably a lot of people have mentored me. I think people have often asked me, I get a lot of DMs of people asking me to mentor them. And it always kind of like, look, I'm like, ask me a question. Ask me if you want to come, hang out at the workshop. But I don't know what people mean by that specific role. Like, a mentor is this like Obi-Wan Kenobi where you live together and you follow each other around all the time? Or is it like someone that you occasionally check in on? But that doesn't need this like special role. I mean, you might as well call it a shaman or something stupid like that. Just make it simple. Like, ask someone if you can have a phone call or a Zoom session, or you can come check out their workshop, or if they need any help with a project. All of those things are fine, but sometimes people want to make it about this, like they heard something on a podcast or they read an article about how mentorship is really important, or they heard someone really accomplished say, well, I had this great mentor. And then they think, I need the mentor. And then the mentor's like, well, what questions do you want to ask? I don't know. So it's leading with vagueness that I find a little bit problematic. Just tons of people that just earlier today, a friend of mine called me, and her husband are working on a stone and cement project. And I talked to him for a bit, gave him my recommendations for local places to get materials. Great. And it's like totally fine. Like, always happy to answer questions and get really specific, but I don't really want to sign up for like a role, and nor do I really want to ask someone else to sign up for a role. I think just being a good conversationalist and a good friend and companion is plenty, and you don't need to make up these like special, mysterious, cult-like titles. Now, there are plenty of people that I get advice from, but it's not a formalized thing, because if I could predict what kind of advice I would need, the minute I saw a gap in that, I would go ask somebody. I think the only real like broad thing that I would suggest there is treat knowledgeable people that have experience in things that you don't as really valuable friends and colleagues and peers, period. And if you have a good reputation for being reliable, honest, trustworthy, and fair, your access to advice is going to be plentiful than if you don't do those things. So just don't be a dick. And the last part of the question was, do you plan and build in hangout time with friends and family? Yes. In fact, we're doing that right after we're done filming here today. Well, then we film Modern Maker Podcast. And then I think we're having about 7 people over for dinner tonight. So one of my good friends, he went fishing with my dad and they caught a bunch of rockfish on the coast of California. So we're grilling some fish, some chicken. The weather's kind of hot, so I think we're doing tequila, like chips and salsa. Emmy and Jen from Gray Space are coming. They'll probably bring some weird little treats because they're experimental and fun people. And to circle back to the brainstorming part, ideas will be shared. Questions will be asked. We'll probably ask you, what have you been up to? And they'll be like, we're working on this thing, but we're trying to figure out this. And I'll probably say, you should check out this local fabricator. He's really good at X. So those things happen naturally. So this is a combination of friends and family, also people that we work with. And there aren't really clear, distinct lines between any of those boundaries over here at Maker Ranch. It's everyone comes, everyone brings a bottle of wine or a different food that they're interested in. Everyone sort of chats with each other. The designers chat with the non-designers, and it's all fine. I think the thing that's interesting, though, is because we're all like people that really enjoy their work, which we're very fortunate to be in that position. It's not like we get together to watch like a football game or the basketball playoffs or something. It's not like we have to have this completely entertainment piece of artifice for everyone to get together and have a good time. We just get together and have a good time, and there's plenty of substantial conversation in there because so many of our design and creative interests have little points of overlap. So Mike from Modern Builds will be here, and him and Emmy and Jem from Gray Space, they don't have like so much in common. They're more on design, different aesthetic. Mike's more on the building and creator side. But they get along great because they still are people that work with their hands. There's still people that are doing creative work. There's still people that are friendly and chatty. So you don't have to have these really specific agendas. And it's like, sometimes I'll get invited over for a game night, or we're going to an escape room. It's like, why don't we just have dinner? Like, we should have enough to talk about socially, just explaining the different things that we're doing and the things we're struggling in. So I kind of think that a lot of times with people getting together for social gatherings, they work way too hard on the reason why. Whereas a gathering of cool and interesting people is its own reason. You don't need to have this structured game night. You don't need to watch sports on television. You just need cool, interesting people. You don't even need to get together for a meal. Like, just go hang out. But meals are fun because we do have to eat multiple times a day. So, dinner party tonight. Shane has an idea for a new segment called Overrated, Underrated, where he's going to throw things at me and I'm going to respond with one of those binaries, but probably extrapolate a little bit more on it. So Shane, take it away. What do we got?
All right, Pinterest.
Pinterest was underrated, but now it's overrated. I loved Pinterest when it first came out. It was not just a way to see a lot of interesting imagery. It was also a way to connect with people. In fact, like, one of the first collaboration YouTube videos I did is I did a concrete stool with supermodel Coca Rocha at her house in upstate New York. And we met through Pinterest, is that we had very similar sort of curatorial styles on Pinterest and a lot of overlap. And in a magazine article, she talked about how I just really like this guy, Ben. He just has like, what he's interested in visually is just so aligned with my taste. So it used to be this great connectivity tool. What they did though is they kind of did the thing that a lot of social medias do, is where they switched to an algorithmic feed, and you lost the connection in the sense that you're following really interesting curators. It just became this globalized playlist. Now, that strategy worked well for Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I think it really hurt their growth because I think it was not a place where people were posting so much of their own work, but curating other things. And it kind of de-incentivized people to actually post stuff, and it made everyone a consumer. And I think the platform really lost a lot. So I still check it, but not nearly as much as I used to. I used to check it every morning. I'd have coffee, do a sketchbook session, look at Pinterest. And now I'm at like sort of once a week. Next.
Zoning laws.
Well, they're not overrated or underrated. They're essential, right? And they're like all sort of laws. Now, I do think they are probably in some cases too prohibitive, in other cases too lenient. Just depends on where you live. In California, we have a housing shortage. So that means the zoning laws probably are too strict. In other places where you see sort of prices sort of plummet and a lot of crappy buildings that are left empty, you're probably seeing them not being tailored enough to that specific environment. So necessary, and it depends on where.
Crocs.
I love the idea of Crocs. I just don't like the material or feel of them on barefoot. And I think the whole purpose of sandals is that you don't need socks. So I'm more of a Birkenstocks person than a Crocs person. Birkenstocks are the OGs. They're made of natural materials. They're classic, and they kind of have escape velocity. No matter what you think of the way they look as a silhouette, they've been around for so long that they're never going away.
Huge walk-in closets.
Walk-in closets are overrated for neat people and underrated for messy people. So you want a walk-in closet if you're a messy person, because then you actually want it to serve as a dressing room. You want to change in the closet. That's where you want to get dressed and undressed and have your laundry hamper and all those things. That way your bedroom stays really neat and tidy. So it really depends on whether you're a person that always puts things in the right laundry hamper or always folds your laundry immediately and puts it into the right drawer. So for organized people, a whole separate room isn't as necessary. The messier you are, the more useful an oversized walk-in closet that doubles as a changing room is.
Owning chickens.
Owning chickens, I would say underrated. It's not as much work. I don't think it's that much more work than gardening. I've only done it a few times. Eggs are super expensive. Everyone loves eggs. Eggs are great. So I would say underrated. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, just because travel can be a little bit unpredictable for me. And it is right now would be the one thing that I'd have to get like a house sitter and hassle Jesse to say, hey, you got to come feed and water the chickens. Also, we live in a very coyote friendly zone. So this would have to be pretty secure. I do want to do a modular chicken coop design sometime, because I like the idea of a chicken coop that can be moved, because I have a lot of land. And I hate it when someone has like a chicken coop that's just been in the same place for so long, and that area feels like a little bit like a biological disaster zone. So I think I would get about 4 to 5 chickens, maybe 6 in case a coyote occasionally snipes one. 4 to 6 chickens, and it would have to be like a cage that I could keep moving. The trick here is if you can move it, then it's very vulnerable to coyotes digging under it. So that's the part I haven't really figured out yet. So I would say underrated.
Easy one. Angle grinders.
Oh, angle grinders, underrated for sure. It's the best tool available. You can cut through anything with it, but is probably one of the more dangerous tools. So be careful, read the safety instructions, watch a lot of videos, a lot of technical videos on how to properly use one.
Film photography.
Film photography is totally overrated. People get very romantic about it and be like, oh, it's just on film. I don't care. Good photography is good photography. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can shoot it with a Polaroid, you can shoot it with your iPhone. Focusing on the technology is silly. It's funny, like there's gonna be a debate later of like the difference between like CGI or AI generated imagery. Just make the imagery good. You can do good things with that. You can do good things analog. Don't get caught up in what medium it is or how it's romantic. I've seen so many great pieces of film photography and so many ones that I just didn't care about. And I've seen amazing photos with an iPhone.
29 Palms, California.
29 Palms, California is the most underrated place to live in California. It is the best place for creatives to live in all of California. Say it again. 29 Palms is the best place for creatives to live in California. One, there's a great community of other creatives out here that live here full time. Two, it's beautiful. But most importantly, it's one of the most affordable places in California. And this is what makes it such a unique spot. It's rare that you get a place that's both on the affordable side, but then also has like cultural street cred. Like for example, I lived in downtown LA for a while. Very cool space, very expensive. When I moved to the Joshua Tree area, people were in my LA friends were like, that's awesome, I'm gonna totally come and visit. Now there's other affordable places in California, but if I would have told those same friends, oh, I'm moving to San Bernardino or I'm moving to Barstow, it'd be like, I'll never see you again. So this is what's really special about 29 Palms. You have the affordability, and if you tell your friends and you're moving out of LA to the high desert and the Joshua Tree area, they're gonna be awesome. I'm gonna totally come and visit. So submit your topics and questions for overrated, underrated, and just about anything else. And now we're gonna start getting ready for the dinner party tonight, which follow along. So Jesse, how many more hours of sanding do you think you still have?
I don't know, 100.
Not 100, but more than 10. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend that you think might enjoy Maker Ranch. Bye.